Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdette's Newsstand, and I have been out for the past week, and I've been super under the weather, so I am back, and this was absolutely the best comic to come back to. It is so bad. It's Female Furies #1, and it is the biggest, feminism piece of junk, horribly written comic I have ever read. It is I don't even know how to describe how bad it is until you actually read it. But it is a big, progressive feminist comic book that is unneeded. And I'm sorry, but I'm not a feminist. Let's say that right off the bat because I'm so far from one. Feminism is basically about the equality between men and women. And I think if you were to try to go out and find somebody that was disagreeing with men and women being equal, it would be hard to do. I'm not discrediting feminism like I am now, but I'm talking about years ago, like the right to vote, the Roe vs. Wade, basic sexual discrimination, and, just simple things like birth control. Those things were all brought about by great feminists of the past. Now, and if you want to be a feminist, you have to have a liberal ideology. You have to fight against the white patriarchy. You have to want uninhibited abortions or to emasculate men. And I think all of these things are absolutely ridiculous. Basically, what it comes down to is you cannot be pro-choice. You have to hate Donald Trump. You have to be anti-patriarchy. You have to be all these things that I disagree with. And as many times as I've been told I'm an eternal misogynist or all of these things that people like to say when women don't adhere to their stereotype, that's okay. I'm okay with that. I know this is kind of going into too much of a rant about feminism, but you can't be a feminist and be nowadays and be like a pro-life conservative. And I think that it's a shame that these people are fighting for things that are just basically emasculating men and causing fake outrage constantly. And I think it's a huge shame. I feel like these people are probably quite a bit brainwashed, but I want to see these strong, empowered women. I'm not saying that at all. I want to see women that are great and strong and confident and able to succeed. But you don't have to be a liberal who emasculates men or puts down conservatives or does any of these things to be that. You don't have to. So with all that being said, I don't fit their mold. And I've been called multiple times about being an embarrassment to women or feminists. And I'm okay with that. I really am. But wow, that was way too much information before a review. So I'm going to get right into it. This is Female Furies #1. And it is written by Cecil Castiglione. I don't know how to say it. The illustrator is Adriana Mello. And literally, this is called Anything You Can Do, I Can Do Bleeding. Come on, that's so cringy. Oh God. I don't even want to talk about how cringy it is. You don't do that. That doesn't make women look good. But it starts off and we see the Furies and they are talking to Granny Goodness. And we get to see her, she's wanting to show them to Darkseid and she's wanting to prove their worth, so to speak. So we see this flashback and Granny is fighting this queen. And she's fighting for Darkseid. And basically, Granny looks good. I've never seen Granny look like this. Granny always has that, she's a hefty girl with a crazy face. And she always looks like a granny would, but they made her look, kind of hot for a granny. But either way, that has nothing to do with it. She is in this conversation and she says, I don't want his heart, I want his respect. Oh, the cringe is real. And basically, Desaad keeps putting her down through the whole thing. She's taking too long and she's doing it wrong. Well, she poisons her and kills her. And Granny is the one that killed her and decides, like, you know, takes all the credit. So we get to see that right off the bat. And then we get to flashback to today. And they're all training, and we get to, you know, we get that basic introduction to all of them. So we see Big Barda and everybody. We see everybody in the Furies basically kicking ass. And if I say furries 1,000 times, I apologize, but that's the word I see when I see this. Okay. Anyways, moving on. But we get our basic introduction, and, you know, Granny's proud of them. She's trained them well. And even, like, throughout the Furies history, we've seen them basically as a strike force. Even through the Fourth World or, you know, Jack Kirby stuff, we've seen them as a strike force of all female people that were just as strong. There was never any, I mean, there might have been some, but it was very rare to have this much actual, like, demonizing of these characters. And that's basically what this comes down to, because she wants to prove their worth. She wants to prove that they are just as good as the boys, you know, whatever. And you got Decide there saying, we don't want the Furies in her rank to show their lesser standards. Like, that's how this whole comic is just putting them down. And it's bad. But he does agree, Darkseid does agree to let them, you know, prove their worth. So then we get this, the worst flashback in the book. And we're seeing them, you know, all at Darkseid's side. And it says later that night. And Darkseid's like behind Granny. And he's like, you know, battle makes me hungry for what food cannot fill. Oh my God. And then he's like, you will give yourself to me completely. And she's like resisting him. And she's like, I will obey. So then it goes to the next page. And it's obviously trying to show that they had sex. Like, who wants to see Granny and Darkseid have sex? That is so weird to me. Oh my God. So yeah, they had sex, and then it comes to the next day, and she is late to this meeting because she wasn't even informed of the meeting, and decides, like, and she won't get punished for it, I'm sure. And there's a couple times throughout this where he's like saying she uses her sex to get away with things, or get away with being late, or get away with anything. It's so bad. But basically at this time, she's informed that she's going to be in charge of the orphanage. And they're all laughing at her, and she's like, you know, I'm just as good as these guys. Why do I have to be in charge of the children? Oh my God. Like, I can't even get through this seriously, because yeah, some women want to raise children, but some don't. And this is just showing how ignorant some people are, and it's so two-dimensional. But she takes care of the children as they tell her stuff like, you know, being hysterical doesn't look good on you. And we all know you use your sex to get favors. And she's saying, you know, I work twice as hard. I'm so much better. But she still has to take care of the children. Wah, wah, wah. It's so stupid. But we do get to see them flash forward to now. And they're going through kind of showing off their skills to everybody. And showing what these Furies can do. And through the whole time, they're putting them down, saying super, like, misogynistic things, and she's not happy about it. And then they go back to the locker room, and they're all pissed, like, men wouldn't have to do this, like, and the one, he smells her hair. Oh my God, he smells her hair. Like, people, come on, don't smell anybody's hair. If you're doing that, there's probably something wrong with you. But they have to have a bake-off. And they're all standing there doing a bake-off, and they hate their food. So, I mean, good. But then they do it like a evening gown contest. What the fuck? Like, I feel like this is super, like, pageantry. And then the one's called a smile contest when it's obviously a bikini contest. Like, they put so much crap into this. Just call it a bikini contest. Like a swimwear contest. Whatever they're called. I don't watch those pageantry stuff, but I mean, call it what it is. You've already, like, completely made women look absolutely horrible, and made your writing look horrible, and made this comic look horrible, and made DC look horrible. Call it what it is. Basically, Darkseid says they're not ready, and they didn't do good enough in, you know, their swimsuit contest or something. And Granny's pissed, and they go back to the locker room, And we see them all kind of pissed and taking it out on each other. But Willick has kind of taken a special interest in the girl. He smelled her hair, Arya. And so they're going to train specially together, and he's gonna, teach her how to be a real woman. I don't know, stupid. But basically, it's not a training session. It is him grabbing her ass and her tits and her waist and pulling her closer. And she runs out of there, and she's all pissed off, and she's like, her clothes are kind of falling off because apparently he has been grabbing every part of her body. And she's kind of haunted about it and pissed. And we get to see them actually get a mission. And the mission's about a runaway, but basically it's not about that. Like, it's about Steppenwolf's bastard son. And that is exactly what they call him. So I wasn't just saying that to be a dick. That is what they call him. But he goes typical. They send 2 women to do a job 1 man could do. Like, oh my God. This is how this whole dialogue is. Like, this, I'm not even exaggerating when I say this dialogue is so bad. But it comes down to, he won't tell on them to Darkseid if Arya will sleep with him. And she gets pissed and she cuts his head off, and then Arya and Barda decide to bury the body on a comet. And then we get to see, what's coming next. Oh my God. Like, this is the worst comic, I'm not even kidding, that I have. They're trying to go for the feminist route, and it didn't work. It just looked dumb. It just looked bad to women, and it just looked bad towards these characters that were developed so long ago that were supposed to be strong and fierce, and it made them look whiny and really two-dimensional, and really just kind of, they'll take whatever is given to them. Like, we see that Granny gives in to Darkseid and sleeps with him. We see that Ariel gives in to Willick and trains with them. Like, it shows these women as nothing but weak. And it's really a shame. Like, somebody, if they had the right writer, could have done this justice. But instead, they do it social justice. And I absolutely hate it. It's not kidding. Don't waste your money. I'm curious to see actually how much this sells. But I can't even describe to you how unfortunate something like this is, because these feminists are worried about equality and all these things, and they make women look like trash. So I'm not going to rant anymore, because I could literally go off about why I dislike feminism so much. But I'm going to leave it at this. Don't waste your money. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.